So we're going to start out this presentation. Vrinda will speak more about her project and readings from the book, artwork from the book, some live music. But we thought that it would be really special to start out with chanting some prayers to Hanuman. This is, it's called the Hanuman Chalisa. It's very famous verses that are recited, that were composed by Tulsidas, who also wrote the Ramcharitmanas, which is the writing of the Ramayana in the colloquial language of that region, which is kind of what I feel Vrinda has done for the modern day, is writing the Ramayana in a way that is accessible to modern readers, especially young modern readers. So we thought we would start out with this. Some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not be. We have a gentleman here who's from Ayodhya. So actually when we arrived in the airport yesterday, what is his name, Gregor? Yergo, he had a sign that said, "To Ayodhya," when he was picking us up from the airport, and I said, "Vrinda, is that for us?" I don't know. I was a little confused, but I think that maybe that was a sign that today we get to, at least for the next hour and a half or so, we enter into the land of Lord Ram and Sita. All right? So Naimi's going to lead us in the Hanuman Chalisa. The words are on the board here. Okay, I'm going to get my guitar.
Okay.
This is my daughter, Naimi Sharanya. She's 4.5. She'll be 5 next month. And she knows quite a bit of it. And the parts that she doesn't know will just... So everyone's welcome to sing together, all right?
Jai Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagara Jai Kapishati Hulo Kahu Jagara Rama Duta Atulita Baladama Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanama Veera Vikram Bajarangi Matani Vara Sumati ke sangi Kanchana varana viraja suvesa Kanana kundala kunchita kesha Hatavad ordvaja viraje Kande mundra jane osaje Shankara suvana keshari Nandan Teja Pratapana Jagal Pandam Vidyavan Guni Ati Chatur Rama Kaja Karibeko Atul Prabhu Charitya Sunireko Rasya Ramala Sita Manabasya Shuksharupa Darishiya Hitikava Vikata Rupa Dari Lanka Jarava Rama Rupa Dari Asura Sagave Ramachandra Ke Moja Savare Lai Sanjeevana Lakana Jiyaye Shri Raghuvira Harasa Urelaye Raghuputra Kini Bahut Parai Tuma Mama Priya Bharata पतवी तुम्हारो मंत्र विभीषण मान लंकेश भय परश पचक
जुग सहस्र
जन परगान ताहि मधुर फल जान मुद्रिका मेरा मुख माहि नल दिलाएंगी है रचन जनारी तुरगम काय जगत के जेके सुमर गया तुम्हारे पेते राम मेलारे उमर कुआरा तना आज्ञा पिनो पे सारे सुकला है तुम्हारी शरणा रक्षक काहू को डरना आपत से मारो आप तीनों लोग हाकते कापे भूत पिशाच निकट न विलारे हाँ वीर वगनार सुआवे आसे रोज हरे पीन जपत निरंतन हान रीरा जय कुछ से समान चावे मैं ब्रज प्राण को लावे अब सुकलाम तपस विराजा इनके काज सफल कुमसाजा हो रमनोरा जोई कोई लावे साई मलता जी फन फल जाए आरु चाने आस पुरारा हो नवाज से के कुरमारा हो अंतन मधुआरा सिद्धि सर्वनिधि के दास राम जानकी रघुपति के दास राम को दास जन्म जान कुमम सरावे मानसी कत हाथी कुमार राजा मरा करार मैं तुहरा की होता से आज
Karahu Gurudev. Let's chant that one again. Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai. Kripa Karahu Gurudev Kinai. Jo sat bar path kar koi. Chut hi bandi maha sukh hoi. Jo ye pade Hanuman Chalisa. होए सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा तुलसी दास सदा हरि चेरा
देवा
पवन तनय संकट हरण मंगल
मूर्ति जो राम सीता
हृदय बसौ सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरणम। जय हनुमान। Good job. Well, it's a work in progress. Those prayers, they all describe different activities, the glorious activities of Hanuman from his birth and how he serves Ram, and there's so many, as it tends to be in these types of prayers, it says in the end, all of the benefits of chanting or hearing the Hanuman Chalisa, protects you from the pisachas and the rakshasas and snake bites and so many things. And of course, at the end, the ultimate goal, which for us as bhaktas of Sita and Ram, is to develop love for Sita and Ram in the mood, maybe in a little bit of the mood of Hanuman, ready to do service. So that was, it's very, very famous verses. Almost most people in India know these, and I learned it just by hearing it over and over again by different sadhus. As you travel around, the sadhus would just chant it, and you just hear it and remember it. So we put it to a little bit of a twist there. Looks like it's ready to go.
Haribol, everybody. It's such an honor for me to be here, and I'm just going to give a brief introduction about myself, even though many of you have seen me in diapers, but not everyone. So I need to give a brief introduction. So my name is Vrinda. I grew up here in Alnwick until I was 14. And in '97, I went to Alachua, Florida. They had a girls' school called the Vaishnav Academy for Girls. So I kind of ended up in that side of the world at that time. But Alnwick always holds a very special place in my heart because I grew up here, I swam in the lake, I ran around like how you see these kids running around here now, and it feels so special to be able to come here and share what we do. And I should also say a few words about my mother, Annapurna, or her artist name is Anna Johansson. She's the artist who not only wrote this book, but she really is the backbone of the project because she started this.
She illustrated.
Yeah, she illustrated. But she started this project back in the early 90s, living here in Alnwick, and initially Anagastra, I think, Madhavapuri's wife, was supposed to be the author of the story, and I was just a teenager. I had no involvement whatsoever. And then my mom, somehow it didn't work, that collaboration, and then my mom just came to me like, why don't you write this? And it completely struck me by surprise. It wasn't something I had planned to do or something that I had a yearning to do, really, and it's very intimidating. The Ramayana is such a beloved story of India, and everyone knows the story, so the thought of approaching this story and doing anything with it was very intimidating. So for many years, I was kind of just going around it and feeling I wanted to please my mom, I wanted to, work on the project with her, but I just felt very intimidated to bring anything to the story because it is a sacred story, And eventually what I discovered in my research is that in one sense, there is no one Ramayana, there is no one story. We have the original story written by Valmiki some 2,000 years ago, arguably, depending which scholar you listen to. So his text is considered to be the oldest, but even that is just, he wrote down what was already a very strong oral tradition. And since Valmiki's time, there have been countless retellings. In India, there are over 300 different Ramayanas in all the different vernacular languages. And now that English is becoming such a strong language, now we see also many retellings in English. So when I discovered this, that was very empowering to me because then I'm not just making something up and starting to, retell a story that's already perfect. It is perfect, but it also needs to be retold for its audience. And so I kind of saw that I have a place in this tradition that has storytellers over the years. And then also the fact that there isn't just one Ramayana. It is kind of, even the Ramayana I grew up knowing, which I thought was the Ramayana, the authoritative version, was already such a mix of many different versions. So I've kind of been on a quest to, read many different versions and sort of be in a meditation about these wonderful personalities. And it's been very enriching. And a question I often get is, well, how much of what's in here, which of that is part of the original story? And what I always want to say to that is, well, my hope is if you read this, that you will get the desire to actually go back to Valmiki's original text and read some of these stories in the original and have that experience. Because even though the Sanskrit way of telling stories was very different than what we're used to having stories now, because we all watch movies sometimes and have novels and things like that. So we're used to this modern way of storytelling, which is very close to the characters. We want to know what's going on in their hearts, what's going on for them. But in the Sanskrit way, it's very plot-driven. This happened, and then this happened, and then he was sad, but then this happened. So it's very plot-driven. And we're not so close to the characters. So really my meditation was, okay, what is really happening for all of these different personalities? Really kind of heart-wrenching things are happening. What are they feeling and how did they come to feel this? So that was really my main meditation in the work. And I will be reading from the book, but just my final point that I always want to share is something that became clear to me once I actually finished writing the entire trilogy. I realized that for me, who the kind of most important character of the story is, for me, is Sita. And in most of the stories you read, she has a very small place. Scholars have counted in the Valmiki Ramayana where she appears in the original Sanskrit text, and it's only 10%. So 90% it's about, all the male characters, Ram, Hanuman, Vibhishan, Ravan, all these, intriguing characters. And then Sita, who you would think is, the main woman in the story, she only appears in 10%. So for me, it's been very important to really focus on the women of the story here, Kaikeyi, Kaushalya, and Sita, and really try to bring them more and more into the story. So that's is something that I feel is very important for myself and for my daughter and for all the women and for the boys that grow up too, to just really see that half of this earth belongs to the men and half of it belongs to the women. So I feel in the stories it should be represented like that as well. And so I've tried to bring that balance into the story with, the women occupying at least 50% of the story and sharing the story equally. And we'll have time for question and answers at the very end of it. So I really welcome any thoughts, any questions, any sharings that you would like to share. But I'm going to start with a reading. And I appreciate you being quiet and listening, especially if any kids are here, Meru or any of the kids, if you want to be concentrated and just give me your attention for a little while.
You want to sit there?
Yeah, I'm going to start standing, I think, and then I'll go there because, Okay, so this is from Book 1, Shadows of the Sun Dynasty, Book 1 of the Sita's Fire Trilogy, Chapter 13, A Queen to the Rescue. Is it? Can everyone hear me? Is this? Yeah? The horns across the camp blew urgently to signal that someone was approaching the campsite. The sun was about to rise and the enemy's army was upon them. Kaikeyi suddenly felt the rumble in the ground. She secured her sword and her knives and left the tent to pull up the chariot. When Dasharath came out of the tent, she would not have dared continue their earlier jesting. His lips were in a tight line, his eyes steely. This battle would end today. The horses listened to her wordless commands, and they rode through the campsite. Attacking aggressively, Kaikeyi led the chariot into the enemy ranks. Dasharath earned his name, 10 chariots, 1,000 times over. Dead soldiers fell in their path. Kaikeyi expertly maneuvered the steeds, guiding the 4 horses to slow down and speed up at the right moments. "Left!" Dasharath shouted, and she was already doing it. As they worked like this, Kaikeyi felt that no king or queen had ever made such a team. She heard his arrows fly by her. The horses snorted. Men cried as they died. "There he is," the king yelled, and Shambhara, the frightful blood drinker, appeared before them in a chariot, drawn by 4 crossbreed mules. Kaikeyi had never seen such creatures. They had demon faces, elongated and flattened to fit into a horse skull. Their fangs protruded from their mouths, and their eyes were intelligent but menacing. The blood drinker showed his fangs, and Dasharath shot an arrow into his mouth. Shambhara did not make a sound as he pulled the arrow out amid sprays of blood. Dasharath's next arrow destroyed his opponent's bow. Screaming now in an unintelligible tongue, Shambhara flung Dasharath's own arrow back at him. It grew in the air and flew toward them with impossible speed. Without a sound, Dasharath fell back, collapsing onto the chariot. The next second, Kaikeyi was splattered in the king's blood. The whole chariot shook and Kaikeyi screamed. A huge javelin now protruded from Dasharath's chest. Kaikeyi had to leave the battlefield now. She threw the reins into one hand and reached for a shield, crouching low and protecting herself from the onslaught of arrows. She fled as if haunted by demons. She scanned the horizon ahead, looking for shelter. The battle raged on behind her, but she saw no one in pursuit. The army had expertly closed its formation, preventing the enemy from following them. Kaikeyi would take no chances with the king dying at her feet. She had no plan, for she had not planned for this. How could she have been so utterly foolish? Even as she berated herself, a sense of calm settled on her. She had to stop the king's blood flow. She was not a healer of any kind, but she had seen enough men die to know this. There was blood everywhere in the chariot. She had seen blood before, lots of it, but never the blood of the one she loved. She was afraid to stop and find him already dead. And that was the moment she knew she loved Dasharath more than her own life. Chapter 14, The Dream of Ram. When the javelin crashed into his chest, he did not even have time to scream. Kaikeyi did. Her piercing cry went straight through him, and he fell dead. He who had fought alongside the gods in countless battles was now dead. He who thought himself as immortal as a human could be was dead. He who had no children, who carried the sun's blood in his veins, who ruled the earth, was dead. Who was he now? "Wake up!" she screamed. And who was she? "Shh," he struggled to say. If only he could have some silence, then the pain of I would be over. "Open your eyes," she begged, but he could not. The horses snorted, their hooves clattering against the ground. Where was he going? His body was being rushed somewhere, but he hovered above it effortlessly. Yet he was connected somehow to that dying body, forced to follow the frightful rush of the chariot, its horses, and the commandeering woman. He was not dead yet, he realized. He saw her then from up there, a woman whipping her horses until their eyes were rolling, her long black hair flying behind her like the goddess of war. He knew this about her, but he couldn't say who she was. Then he saw the corpse in the chariot with its head bouncing wildly with every jostle of the chariot. The golden helmet was smashed in on the side. There was blood in a pool around his chest, and her red footprints all around him. It had been his blood, his body. He drifted from the chariot up and away. He could neither hear nor feel its hasty escape from the battleground behind them. As he felt the connection to his mortal life weaken, there was only one regret. The Sun dynasty's illustrious line would end because he was dying and he had no sons. The regret surprised him. He had felt the pressure to produce an heir, and he had dutifully pursued it, but he had not wanted sons. He had known it would just end badly. Memories of his earthly life grew dim. Thoughts became amorphous. Now he was both more and less than the man he had been. In that powerless state, he simply waited and began to dream. A green luminescence shimmered around him. He was not alone. There was a small boy next to him whose luminous emerald skin lit up everything around both of them. The king had never seen anything like it. The child had big brown eyes that were both intense and kind. Every now and then, the boy turned toward the king and looked him long in the eyes. The king opened his arms and the child returned the embrace. The boy did not stop there, but walked into the king's heart. Stunned, he followed. He realized he had never been inside it before. It was a vast place, a complete world with lush fields, forests, and buildings. The child beckoned him to continue, walking ahead, deeper into the maze of his heart. The king followed, trying to catch hold of the boy's hand. "Are you my son?" he asked the boy. "Rama," the boy said, uttering the two syllables with childish charm.
Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Ishwara Allah Tero naam sabko samati de Bhagwan Ishwara Allah Tero naam sabko bhakti de Bhagavan Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram
The boy disappeared from view into Dasharath's heart. "Come back," the king called, and he heard the words echo in every chamber of his heart. "Come back, come back, come back." It was his own call, magnified by someone else's. The woman on the chariot whispered, "Come back to me." At once he was not in his heart anymore. He was back in his spirit, looking down at the pitiful scene of his body and the lady laboring for his life. Quickly, darkness shrouded him, and he was back inside his body. He felt the strong beating of his heart, the pulsating ache of his near-fatal wound, the weakness of his limbs, and the thirst of his dry lips and throat. The sun was scorching, and he felt the blaze on his skin. "Water," he managed to say. Even those were too many words for a man who had nearly died and whose voice had not been used in days. How many days? He would ask her as soon as he had drunk. She moved, swift like lightning, and when she lifted the water to his mouth, she pressed her lips to his head and buried her face in his hair. Without words, he pulled Kaikeyi into his arms, ignoring the explosion of pain in his chest. He drank the water greedily at first, but told himself to slow down and sip it instead. If he drank too much all at once, his body would reject it. He turned to Kaikeyi and said, "I owe you my life." The tenderness in his heart grew. "Ask anything from me, and it's yours." She looked up at him and said, "My prayers have already been answered. You are alive." He laughed, feeling both the joy and the pain spread in his chest. "Even more reason for me to repay you," he said. "I will give you anything you want. Just love me forever," she said, the words of the young woman that she was. "I already love you more than I should," he said. "And if you had not saved me, I would not have survived. My life is yours. Now I've said it twice. You have two boons at your disposal. Any time you want something from me, it's yours." A voice in his mind sent him a caution. It was the voice of reason. They would not be pleased with his impulsive act, giving Kaikeyi two unconditional boons. It was not a wise political move. But Dasharath was alive due to Kaikeyi. He said, "These boons, keep them to yourself. They are yours alone." She nodded, and he fainted. So for all of us who know this story, we know how crucial those two boons become. They're really, what kind of changes the story in that climactic moment when Ram gets sent out to the forest. But usually we only find out about these two boons right at that moment when Mantar comes in, the evil hunchback, and says, "Haha, your two boons." And then we find out all this stuff. So here we're kind of with Dasharath and Kaikeyi in real time to, be with them, to see, why did he actually give her these two boons? And, she deserved it because she was a powerful warrior. And now I'm going to skip to Book 2, Queen of the Elements.
I just want to also mention that Vrinda wrote these books while being a mother to two kids. And she's working on Book 3 right now. And she wrote Book 1, published once Naimi was already born, right? And wrote Book 2 while Naimi was, in diapers and like that. So, this has really been like a quest for Vrinda to do this. And now Book 3, while our little boy's in diapers, is happening. So you can do it.
So I wonder if I can, just 1 second, I'll see if I can put this on automatic, then the slides will just go.
Right now, I also want to mention, many of you know Annapurna, And this is her artwork right here, the Mahamantra and the Shri Krishna Chaitanya, and all around this temple in different places. Her artwork is there. And I've been watching the progression of her work. And from book 1, which is most of these slides are from book 1, to now what I'm seeing previews of book 3, it's just like, this stuff is going to go into a Sitaram museum one day, because she has over 70 or 80 watercolor paintings in each book. So at the end of this, we're going to have 250 paintings. And, we're talking with Villa Vrindavan. They have their, we're speaking with the Prabhu over there, possibilities of really getting this. But yeah, the artwork is just the talent is just, when we apply ourselves to something and we keep working at it and we keep doing it and we start to hone our craft. And I think it's such a beautiful offering to be able to do what we love to do. Vrinda's obviously a writer, even though she didn't even know it herself. She just threw herself into Sita's fire with Sita, and and started doing this. And of course, Annapurna has been doing art for so long, but to see the craft get more and more, the presentation become much to a higher level of presentation. By the way, the book one and 2 have won quite a few awards. One of them is called the IFI, right? IPI, Independent Publishers, something like that. And it won. It's interesting because it won the bronze medal in non-fiction for young adults. So that was kind of cool. They put the story of Sita and Rama in non-fiction, as opposed to even Hindus will use the word what is the word? Mythology. But even this independent book publishers awards, they put it in nonfiction. So we're really thrilled about that. Is it working?
Okay, so I think that the slides are going to advance themselves, and you can just glance at them, and they are not directly connected to the reading, but it is my mom's art. So I think it's going to switch every 30 seconds and show you some of the art from the book. So I want to take you to a place in the story where it's about Kaikeyi again. We've been with her, seeing that she was a powerful warrior. She saved Dasharath's life, and she's, I feel, one of the most misunderstood characters, because she's easy to hate because she's beautiful, she's a queen, and she does something that really destroys the whole dynasty seemingly. So she's seen as like a villain of the story. So I want to take you to a moment when Ram and his whole family, they're reunited briefly in the forest. Ram's eyes swept across the crowd while he said, "We must treat others with compassion and forgiveness. When they are aggressors, as Kaikeyi was, it's a challenge. Your anger toward her was not wrong. Your passion for justice makes you worthy citizens of Ayodhya. Until now, each of you has done your duty by opposing her, by disagreeing with her scheme. But now we must look at this differently. Look at Queen Kaikeyi. Is she really the cruel queen you think her to be?" Everyone turned to look at the queen, as if realizing for the first time that she was present among them. Ram turned to his mother, Kaushalya, the great queen. "Mother, you have always been the acknowledged queen of Ayodhya. The example you set is followed by thousands. I must speak openly about something that was ever kept in the shadows in Ayodhya." Ram looked into her large, soulful eyes and saw what he had always seen, the currents of sadness there in his mother's eyes. His voice grew apologetic. "Mother, I know your heart, I know the grief you harbored even before father died. As a child, I did not understand why. As I grew up, I began to understand more. You and Kaikeyi have been rivals all my life. You, of all people, have reason to resent Kaikeyi, and so I ask you, do you think Kaikeyi meticulously planned this? In your heart, did you ever suspect that she had anything but the deepest love for me? Ram's throat grew dry and a dull ache rose in his heart. The memory of Kaikeyi's rejection was painful. Kaushalya's eyes were hard as steel, but then she did something that Ram had not anticipated. She put an arm around Kaikeyi. I thank you for this opportunity, my son. I have longed to speak publicly about this. She turned to the citizens of Ayodhya, gathering her breath to speak, although her arm around her rival already spoke volumes. For 22 years, I witnessed Kaikeyi gathering the king's love to herself. I warned them both that it was not auspicious, that it would cause destruction. I could see that much. But I did not know that she would destroy him. No, I did not suspect it. Like my son, I see other powers at work here. She turned to Ram. Kaikeyi's affection for you, Ram, struck me always as pure and clear. I did not expect her to turn on you, or I would have protected you from her with all my power. Her love for our husband, the king, was possessive and selfish. But I did not anticipate either that she would turn on him. I can see now that the shadows of her past grew so large they suffocated the light. She did not see that her actions would lead to her self-destruction, and so I agree with you, my son. Kaikeyi deserves forgiveness. Gently, the great queen pushed Kaikeyi forward. This woman, the third queen of Ayodhya, former wife of the emperor, deserves more than our forgiveness. She has won my admiration and respect, something I never imagined I would feel for her, my bitter rival. Ram did not understand. He felt the swell of questions grow in the crowd, most notably in Bharat. Kaikeyi had been in their midst for months, but only now were they actually seeing her. Kaikeyi lifted her gaze and looked at the people around her. The pure strength in her being was unmistakable. She was not broken, but she was not proud. Ram saw that what he had taken as timidity was in fact humility. Kaikeyi was not diminished, she was transformed. I am grateful to be here among you, she said. I thank the great queen for allowing me to speak. I thank each of you for listening to me. I, who do not deserve your attention after the ruin I have caused in our kingdom. I do not expect you to forgive me. She clasped her hands together. Because of the great queen's kindness, I ask you only to see me now for what I truly am. She lifted off her veil and revealed her hair shorn of its long, bountiful locks. I am a soul, she said. Above all else, I am a soul. Everything I knew of myself, those are all temporal coverings. Once I was stripped of my attachments, I could finally see this. Everything that I identified with, which made me the proud and selfish queen I was, every one of those identities, they have been taken from me. I am the proud favorite wife of Emperor Dashrath, no more. He cast me off before his death. I am a wife, no more. I am the mother of my son Bharat, no more. He too has rejected me. I am Manthara's child, no more. She abandoned me when our scheme fell apart. I can take shelter in my physical beauty, no more. It too fades each day. I am no longer the identities that bound me to my ego. She turned to Ram, though she did not look into his eyes. You who would now be our king if it wasn't for me, you must decide my fate as I unfairly decided yours. I accept whatever you think is best. If you would like to exile me to these forests, I will stay here. If you would like me to return to Ayodhya, I will comply whatever the people of Ayodhya think is best. I am ready to do. Thank you, Mother. Ram's voice was soft. Kaushalya, who had the strongest personal reason to shun Kaikeyi, had led the way and forgiven Kaikeyi before anyone else. Ram walked closer to his third mother. The crowd parted to let him through. Kaikeyi sank to the earth and did not look at Ram. I mean what I said, Ram. I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I want to forgive you, he said, because he had not fully done so. If not for your own sake, then for mine. When she did not respond, Ram's pain surfaced. Am I still only the insignificant person standing in your way to the throne? Kaikeyi looked up and into his eyes. Despite her wise words and her new realizations, there was the inescapable human pain. I never knew, she whispered. I never suspected that your father would die. I did not want him to die. He was your father, but he was everything to me. Losing him, I lost myself. I am all alone now. Her words were so quiet, only Ram could hear them. Ram took her hands. Mother and son looked into each other's eyes, a battle of will. She began to breathe laboriously, tears rising to her eyes. She wasn't as strong as she pretended to be. Ram recalled the countless times that Kaikeyi had held him and soothed him during his childhood. As if she was a stubborn child, Ram pulled her into a tight embrace. Slowly, her resistance melted, and then she clung to him. Absorbing his kindness and understanding, she cried softly. Ram stroked her back gently. No one spoke or interrupted this reconciliation. Finally, Ram released Kaikeyi from his embrace. He could see the glow of her soul peek through her weary eyes. Okay, all right. I'm going to open the floor for questions or comments or anything from any of you, any feedback, anything you would like to share. Do we pass that around? Or? Okay, one. I guess Malini is going to go on then.
Haribol, Vrinda. I just wanted to say it was so nice to hear the book read by the author. And I mean, obviously, you have a very close relationship to these personalities. So hearing you read it was amazing. I was wondering if you were considering to make an audiobook as well.
Yes, it's on my to-do list. It's been on my to-do list for about a year, but thank you. I always, whenever anybody asks me, I'm like, try to push it up on the to-do list to number one.
I don't want to stress you out. I'm just saying it's really nice to listen to your voice reading the book.
As soon as I have a recording studio at home, but as soon as we get like more than half an hour of quiet in our house, then...
I see. No pressure. It's just I'll be waiting for it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Malini. I guess they...
Haribol. A couple of days ago, we saw video production made by Janova Hausner, and somebody in the audience asked her, so I would like to ask the same question to you. How has this creating this series, what kind of impact has it had on you personally?
Okay. Well, in answering that, I have to, reveal some of my own heart, I suppose, because when I started, even when my mom asked me about the Ramayana, can I write it? I really wasn't too fond of the idea because I had a lot of kind of anger towards Ram. I felt, and I feel, many people feel this, well, how could he really treat Sita that way? And, so there was, I didn't really love him very much. And so that was very painful, and it was kind of easy and fun to write about, Dasharath and write about all the other characters in the story. I was like, yes, let me write about them, because I kind of really felt like I had this anger towards Ram. And I mean, how am I going to really write this story if I'm really angry at the main, person in the story? And actually, what ended up happening is I wrote all of book 2, and then I had it on my computer, and I lost my computer, and so I lost my entire manuscript. And I wrote that with this kind of like tight feeling in my heart, like, okay, I'm going to try to write something good about him, but I don't know. And so then when I lost the manuscript, it really prompted this inner quest, like, why did this happen? I was, very frustrated and furious. I even cried myself to sleep, like, I lost all this work. Why is this happening? And then that, I woke up the next morning and I knew very clearly, like, this isn't going to work. This was taken away from you because you have some inner work to do with Ram first. And that really began a long journey for me to try to establish a relationship with Ram, discover him in a different way. I could see that my judgments, I had already made judgments about Ram, and so I realized I have to take away these judgments, and I have to be in a discovery about this, like why all of this happened. And that's, that was a really huge inner transformation for me, and it allowed me to see Ram in a new light and really discover a new love for him. And I am still in that question, why Ram? Why did you do this? Because many people ask me, they're like, okay, well, you studied the Ramayana, so you must know why he did this. And I'm like, I'm still like asking him, I'm still asking for guidance, for it to be revealed. Why did all of this? And now and then I get a little something that feels, maybe soothing or feels right, but I don't think that there are easy answers. And that's why we're still, thinking about these things. If it was easy, we would have maybe not even remembered it to this day. But because it's hard and it tugs at our hearts, we're still wondering. And we're in this relationship with that situation, those situations. Labangalatika.
Hare Krishna. Good to have you here again. I grabbed a book before they ran out.
Please, I only have a few copies, but I would love to leave here without them. So, they're very heavy. So you could do me the favor to pick one of them up.
So my question, it's not similar, but it's a little similar, because you put a lot of years of effort, and Annapurna put a lot of time and effort in it. How come you actually picked the Ram pastime? Because there are so many Krishna pastimes, Chaitanya pastimes, different stories in the Bhagavatam that seem to be more kind of maybe accessible or more intuitive choice to elaborate and share. So how come it was Ram, Sita Ram?
I mean, for me, I just have to say it's destiny, or because I'm such an obedient daughter. It really didn't start with me. It started with my mom, like I said. She says that she just had this vision and kind of a dream to make this story come to life. So I really just followed her lead. It wouldn't have been my choice, Like I like to say about, growing up in Krishna consciousness, it wasn't my choice, it's my parents, they just did this to me.
That's what I say to my children, you choose to be born here.
Yeah, so, at some point, of course, it became my choice also to work with it, but it feels to me more like destiny, because yes, I loved growing up the Mahabharata much more, and, there are stories from the Bhagavatam that I love much more, would have been easier. So in that sense, I don't have any great answer, except for it just kind of happened, and it was destiny, and I went with it, and it has very much enriched my life too. Yeah. Anybody from this side want to ask any question? I've had a few from here. No? I think we're...
What are we going till? What time are we going till? 12. Oh, we're till 12.
Oh, so I think we'll finish with a bhajan. Maybe one final question if you have, or else we're going to end with singing some Sitaram chants. Okay. Okay, so and then
it isn't actually a question. It's just that way, this way, this way. Hare Krishna. Yes, it isn't a question. It's actually just confirming what you said. I was one of the people that your mother actually asked to write, and then she came to me and she said, I would really, really like to do this with my daughter. I know she's still small, but I have this vision and this desire. It was really like a mother's and devoted desire to do this. And when you look also with your question on why did Ram do that, but when we move a little bit backward and we look at the whole thing, how it developed, and the whole situation, you going to Florida, and there is something behind when a devotee wishes something from the Lord, and also a mother's blessing. So it's also something for all of us to learn, to give blessings to other devotees and mothers for their children, and to pray. And it kind of comes even if it takes a long time, and then one sees it 20 years later from a little, whatever you were, 7 or 8 when we met, to kind of really be here. And I am so happy that you are here and to hear you talking, and I really wish to bless you and pray for you to keep going. And as he said, yes, you can do it. So we are looking for the 3rd book and the audio and whatever else you come up, and also your lovely daughter. I mean, that was so wonderful. Thank you, because it's inspiring. We were talking here before also about the Varnashrama and like that, and it's nice to see the couples who work well together, the children who are kind of taking up. I know your mother, she was here before. I can see, that is such an inspiration for me, and I think for all of us. I really wish for all of us to grow more and more in that direction and help each other in that which they are good, and to kind of really blossom in that way. So it was just, thank you.
Thank you, Shiprada. Thank you. You're the one who invited us here, so it's due to your grace that we're here, really. Thank you. I think this lady had a question. Yeah, I think a mother's love is so potent, because I really, like Vish said, I never really thought that I was a writer, but my mom saw something in me and, really encouraged me. She's the first reader of all my drafts, and she has just, really, really supported my growth. And she complains, actually. She's like, I didn't want you to write that much, because, now the book is this thick, and suddenly she has to, make so many illustrations, so she's kind of stressed out by it. But, I'm kind of like, well, you're the one who wanted to make this happen. Yes. Yeah.
Hi, it's not a question, actually it's a comment, and I really want to appreciate you, because I myself is an actor. So I really loved your work, and actually I'm same mood as you. I had also developed a lot of anger towards Ram, because he banished his wife when she was pregnant just because of a washerman. So, but I couldn't get any answer, like why he had done such a cruel act. Yeah. And you said Sita is just 10% in the whole Ramayana, but everything has happened because of women only in Ramayana. The whole episode is because of women.
Yeah. So I appreciate that comment, that the women are very important in the story, and that's very obvious. It's because of Kaikeyi and Manthara and like that Ram gets banished, and then because of Sita, then so it's really important that
woman is the main character actually in Ramayana and Mahabharata. Mahabharata also happened for Draupadi because of Draupadi.
But so I feel like when we're telling these stories or sharing them with our children, that it's important that it's not, that the women aren't just 10%, that there is more of a balance. So I feel very strongly about, having that equality in the stories. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yes, someone on that side. Janeshwar Prabhu, the headmaster of the school when I grew up. It's such an honor to have a question from you.
Hare Krishna. So both Visvambhar Prabhu and you said that you didn't know that you could write. Then I can say that I knew. Because I remember you were maybe 12 or 13 years old and you wrote an essay on the Kalki avatar. And I really thought this is really nice. Sometimes, the Gurukul children, they show some special talent like that. And I really, you don't remember this?
I remember it, yeah. And then we read it at the Radio Krishna and stuff. I have a memory, but I guess don't have that awareness at 12. Like I didn't think, yes, this is, I'm a writer now. And
that I can understand.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, should we?
Is that the next book, Kalki?
Kalki. That's going to be my next book, Kalki.
You have to give 50% focus to the ladies.
Oh, yes. Oh, wow.
His horse is a girl.
Should I?
Anything else? Can we sing to Sita Ram then? Rama, you want to grab a mridanga? Can you grab a mridanga, please? Let's give a round of applause for Vrinda for her presentation. When the book first came out, we put on a big production, dance, music, drama, multiple musicians and the artwork on the screen and stuff. And so this is just a little kind of peaceful presentation for all of you today. A little bit of music, a little bit of art and readings from the book. This afternoon, we'll do a little bit of more. Vrinda will dance, and we'll sing some Vaishnav bhajans and like that. So you'll get the other dimension of Vrinda that you all know also. Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram, oh, Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram, oh, Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram, oh, Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram, oh. Oh, Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram. Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Let's put our hands together. Let's clap our hands. Jai Shri Ram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Rama Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Ram Sitaram. Oh, Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram. Oh, Sitaram, 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 Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Oh. Oh, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Oh, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Oh, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Oh, Sitaram, Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram. Oh, Ramaya Rama Bhadraya. Ramachandraya Vedhase. Raghunathaya Nathaya. Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Oh, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Oh, Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Oh, Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram. Shri Ram. Shri Ram. Shri Sitaram, 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 Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram. Oh, Sitaram, Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, oh Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram. Jai Shri Ram.